Hello, hello, hello. Hi, everyone. How are you guys? Hello, hello. I'm just waiting for you guys to come in and then we will get to our topic. Can you guys hear me? Can you see me? Let me see if you could just jot it down in the comment section that you can hear and see me, and we can go from there. So happy Friday, happy Friday. Hope everything is well and hope everything is going good as well as it could. I know my Friday has been great so far. Okay, I'm seeing people coming in. Hello, hello. If you're coming in, please let me know. Can you see and hear me? Happy Friday, everyone. Hope everything's good. I'm super excited for this topic that we're going to discuss and have a special guest for y'all too. So hope you guys can hear and see me. Let me see. Am I in the comment section? Okay. If you can see me, please type. Okay. Yes. Thank you, Leslie Campbell. You can. Thank you so much. Happy Friday. Happy Friday to you. Thank you, Dr. Carol Matthews. I can hear you. I can see you. Happy Friday. Where are you guys viewing me from? What state? What country? What city? Where are you guys viewing? Thank you, Vanette. Thank you, Kimberly Scott. Thank you, Mary Jane. Awesome. Oh, Zaza, you're happy Friday to you. Sarah, Angela, happy Friday. Happy Friday. Hi, Miss Carter. Thank you so much for that. Okay, so I guess everybody can hear me loud and clear. Where are you guys viewing this live from? What city? What state? What country? Oh, Jamaica. Okay, Vanette, you're viewing from Jamaica. What about North Carolina? Thank you. California. Okay, California. Okay, awesome. Kent, Washington. Great. Wow. Viewing from Harlem. Nice. We have some Georgians. Okay, awesome. We're in Brooklyn, New York, Florida. That's great. So we're all over the country. That's awesome. Chicago, North Carolina, Minnesota, the Bahamas. That's awesome. Well, thank you guys for tuning in. Again, this is Q&A with Dr. Mercy. We do this every Friday around this time. And we just talk about, medical topics that are relevant to our community. And, it's just a way for information. It's a way for dialogue, interactions. And, I'm just excited to be able to interact with you guys as a community. Just in case you guys don't know me, I am Dr. Mercy Ajonwe. I am an internal medicine trained physician in Texas. And I am a full-time hospitalist. So I work in the hospital for the most part. So a lot of the topics that I do discuss are topics that I feel that there's a need to discuss based on, patients that I see or based on the prevalence of things that I see in practice, just to allow everyone to know, okay, this is how you would want to handle it, or this is how you want to prevent it. This September that we're ending, there was an Alzheimer's Day. And so about 2 weeks ago, we had talked about Alzheimer's, how one gets it, what are some of the signs of it. And I saw that this was just a very interesting topic. A lot of us were engaged, and there was a lot of questions, particularly when it came to resources, when it came to just, some of the nuances of Alzheimer's disease, especially as a caregiver. So I decided to bring on one of our in-house expert extraordinaire. He has taken this passion of him to study more about the brain and body. So he's on stage, he's off stage, but I'm going to put him on stage in a minute. I just wanted to go ahead and just give a little introduction of who he is, and then I'll get him on stage. So for those who already know, we have Dr. David Ajibade in the house. He is one of our physicians that have been a guest physician for time to time. He just happens to be the community educator, or one of the community educators for the Alzheimer's Association. So he knows about dementia. Not only that, he studies the brain, as he is the founder and executive director for the Brain and Body Foundation, which he's had for 8+ years. In addition, he's a member of the American Neurologic Association. And he's a host of Your Health in Your Hands, which it happens to be the #1 health show in Africa. So, he's going to come with the knowledge. If you have any questions about Alzheimer's disease or dementia in general, please feel free to jot it down in the comment section. A lot of our dialogue that I'm going to have with Dr. Ajibade are actually questions that were posed in the previous part 1 of this series. So if you haven't seen part 1 of this series, you may want to go and check it out. All right, without further ado, let me get Dr. Ajibade on stage. Hi, Dr. Ajibade. I know we're having some trouble with with volume. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Oh, no. I can't hear you. Can you guys hear Dr. Ajibade? I know we've been having a little bit of technical issues.
Can you hear me now?
So, let's see. Can you hear him? Nancy, you said yes, you can hear him?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Oh, you hear both. Okay, I don't know. For some reason, I am not hearing you. Okay, you can hear. Okay, this is going to be something. All right. Well, for some reason, maybe I should put, let me see. Can you talk again, Dr.
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you so much. Again, it was a little technical difficulties. Well, thank you. Welcome to the show again. You've been missing in action for a little bit, but we're glad that you're here. We're glad that you're here. Thank you so much. Because this is an important topic, Alzheimer's disease, dementia in general. A lot of people have either are suffering from it or they have caregivers. Are there caregivers to those who are suffering with it? What are your thoughts, being that you are involved in this through associations?
Yeah, it's a growing problem, and what has struck me the most is the fact that people are really interested in knowing about it, but there's really very little by way of education. So many people are just lost. They have nowhere else to go to but to the internet and to get information.
Mm-hmm.
And as you know, internet is just full of the good, the bad, and the ugly. So it's like you said, it's been a passion of mine to really get clear-cut answers and to put in people's hands so that they can really take it and run with it. And I think one of the most important things too is just helping people understand what's going on in the minds and the hearts, in the minds of people who are struggling with dementia or memory loss, Alzheimer's disease, and so on. People they are just lost. They don't know what is going on, and so and it can be very, very disturbing. So anything we can do, and thank you for inviting me on the show too. Anything we can do to help make it more understandable and make the load more bearable, would love to do that.
Awesome. So, I know this is a little impromptu. I'm sorry about that, but one of the questions that I have in my mind, just to kind of recap on the disease or just dementia in general, is what are some takeaway points that you would want to stress for those who are caring for those who have Alzheimer's, or maybe those who actually have it? I guess it's two questions in one. So take home points for those who are caring for them, and then take home points for those who have it. I know I'm putting you on the spot, but
that's really vague. Maybe if you had a more specific question, I would. I could say something really nice and hopeful that say just don't give up. There's hope on the horizon. But I gotta tell you, I'm not. If we're looking at standard medical treatment, there's some hope, but only for those who are have a very, very mild form of the disease.
Okay.
And usually, from my experience, people don't come if it's just mild. People come when it becomes intolerable for the rest of the family. However, from what we've been doing and what we've been seeing, there are things, if you look at it from a more holistic perspective, there are things we can do to help improve by strengthening the brain, knowing what the brain needs. And I got to say, there's a lot of dementia is as a result of unrepaired damage over a long period of time. And if we can avoid that damage, or if we can find ways to repair the brain as soon as the damage happens or soon afterwards, then there's a much better chance of achieving some kind of remission or
Mhm.
improvement.
Mhm.
But we have to think about it from that perspective of damage to the brain. What can we do to repair the damage to the brain? And there are tools out there that are available. It's just not in the standard medical approach, which is unfortunate.
Mm, mm. So that leads me to some questions. And this is what, and thank you so much, Nancy, because I was going to ask this question. It's one of the questions that's in the PowerPoint, so we'll probably be able to skip that. But and this is just in general, dementia in general, we could speak specifically to Alzheimer's or not. Is it genetics or does it just happen to random family members or members?
That is the unspoken belief that it's random. You never know. You'll be the next one. Maybe he's a loved one. And that simply is not true. It's only about 5% that is purely genetics. 95% is as a result of, like I said, damage, attacks over a period of time that the brain has tried to compensate for, endured, recovered, dealt with, compensated for, change, and then
Mhm.
eventually just begins to shut down because it's unable to keep that up. So yes, it's 95% is really as a result of environmental factors that affect the brain.
And I'm
And
glad you pointed. Go ahead.
and by the way, I mean, since we're talking about Black people especially,
Mhm,
what we know,
mhm.
I may be jumping the gun here, but what
That's
we
fine.
know is
That's fine.
there are three things. I mean, when people say, I mean, we know that blacks are twice as likely to have dementia as whites, and I know we're going to get into genetic aspects as well. But I really hate it when doctors say they don't know why because or that there's more research needs to be done. That's ridiculous. There are obvious reasons why blacks are more affected by dementia, and I can narrow it down to three things.
Mhm,
One, over a period of time, whether it's because of our genes, our lifestyles, our thinking, our habits, our diet, whatever, we have greater attacks.
mhm,
Our brains sustain greater attacks over a period of time. Number two,
mhm,
we have fewer defenses. Again, it's because a combination of one or the other of our genes, our lifestyle, our culture, our environment, our diet, and so on. We have fewer defenses against these attacks and this damage. And number three, which is a big one, is that we are either less likely or we have less access to healthcare when or to prompt an effective healthcare when we begin to see problems either with our thinking, our memory, or whatever it is. We're less likely to take up or to access healthcare when
yeah.
those things begin to happen. Whether
Somebody,
it's again, cultural stigma or whatever it is, we're just less likely to do that. Those are
mhm.
three main things. Then we can build it. We can expand on those.
So when you say environmental, that includes stress, right?
Correct.
Okay. So
Social, environmental. Obviously, the racial component is a big thing as well. Racial injustice, history of racial injustice, and all the other things that go along with it. Health disparities in access to healthcare and all those
yeah,
things. So that's all that fits in. But that is not the only thing, and I think we can't just leave it at that because there are
yeah.
other things that we can do that are within our power to address.
Well, let's go ahead and jump into these questions. If you guys have any questions or even comments, we're seeing them on the comment section. So very interesting. Um, and if we have time, we can address them. Let me get to where. Okay, so some of this we already. So does race increase the risk? We've already discussed that. Um, can one's general practitioner test you for it? So is this something that can be tested, given the fact that you talked about genes and so perhaps 5% of them having it? Is that something?
The most obvious genetic test is the ApoE4 genetic test.
Mhm.
I don't know. You tell me. Do general practitioners test routinely for that?
Not routinely, but there is some genetic testing for that APO 4 gene that you said that are out there that people can test for, especially because there's two different types of, for in particular Alzheimer's. There's the early onset and the late onset. The early onset is more so the genetic related one, whereas the late one it's a combination of things. So if you have relatives that tend to get the early onset dementia, meaning they get it at a young age, it may be something you want to test for to see if you have the genes for it. It's a autosomal dominant gene or something like that. But yeah, but as far as a whole, majority of just like Dr. Ajibade said, is the majority of Alzheimer's dementia in general is environmental factors. It's what we eat, is our other comorbidities like high blood pressure, things of that nature. But yeah, I hope that answered that question. And so this leads to somebody who's saying something very similar. Sarah Gavin says, I have a family member with recently diagnosed with Lewy body dementia. What can we do as a family to help him live the best life he can in the coming years? And I think we'll dive into that a little bit more, but is there anything you want to say right now, as of now? Did you want us to
Okay. I'm sorry.
Or do you want us to wait to that section where we talk about it a little more?
Yeah, probably should.
Yeah, so that we won't jump in.
If they could, I mean, if Sarah could maybe have a specific, ask a specific question, because it's so wide. I wouldn't know. So broad. So you made a specific thing. Maybe any specific challenges you're dealing with, or what you think can help.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think they're talking about, is there medications for dementia to slow it down from progression? This is what this LinkedIn, I think they're helping them. It says, is there medication for dementia to slow it down from progressing? Is medications recommended, or a natural herbal approach is best?
So they're doing trials now with some new drugs, which again, they're trying, and you've got to qualify for it. And they're trying, but only in mild forms of dementia. Mm-hmm. And they say that the 27 to 30, I think it's 30%, 27 to 30% of cases is they see a slowing down. No, they see 27% slowing down in the progress of the disease from the use of these new drugs. And this, I think it's Leqembi is the latest one. But there is still, I don't know what you've heard about it, Dr. Mercy, but it hasn't been too fantastic. Now, on the other aspect, there are, in my experience, because I treat patients in Nigeria, I'm not licensed in the US, we do know that there are specific nutrients and nutraceuticals that can be used to help not treat dementia. We're not going to talk about treatment, but we're talking about helping the brain, helping to nourish, to feed the brain so the brain can do its own work of repairing its damage, the damage and whatever it is that is causing dementia. So you want to know the distinction. These drugs treat dementia. We deal with things that help to improve brain function. They're not the same thing. So a short answer is that yes, there are certain nutrients, not herbal remedies. People always talk about herbal remedies. There are certain nutrients and nutraceuticals that can help in the repair of the brain.
And here in the American practice, I recently read that yes, there are some, like they talk about omega-3 fatty acid to help with brain function and to help improve that. But they also talk about how, and vitamin D, they talked about being deficient in vitamin D has been linked to some dementia. But when they looked in the studies of supplementing with these things, they could not confirm or deny whether or not it improves it. So it's kind of in the sketchy area. The thing about medicine here is a lot of times studies lay a lot of emphasis on prescription drugs, and the herbal medications, or the herbal, or not even herbal, nutraceuticals, or the nutrient vitamin and minerals, those studies tend to, there'll be a lot more for prescription and just like a very minimum for those natural remedies. So you have to kind of see that dichotomy and kind of think, is it something that too much of it, you don't want to take too much of anything because that there's toxicity involved in that. But if adding that, enriching that in my diet can not only help with my brain function, but just my overall health, why not? As long as it's not detrimental, especially if you take too much of it. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, those are good points. But I would have to say that things like vitamin D and omega 3s are more for prevention,
Yes,
or
yes, yes,
for improving or just
yeah,
maintaining a
yeah,
healthy brain so it
yeah,
doesn't go down. Once you begin to see the effects, once dementia begins to set in,
yeah.
those are not my I mean, trust me, I've tried that before, and I've tried them, and they haven't worked in the sense that they should. Even
Yeah,
omega 3s, I mean, I swear by omega 3s.
yeah,
We use them for kids with brain damage, cerebral palsy, and so on. They work really well. But when it comes to dementia, dementia is so much more complex than just giving omega 3. So we've learned that we got to take it a step higher or several steps higher. I like to use the analogy of Iron Man. Iron Man, normal Iron Man, he's like kicking butt and taking names and all that, beating up people. But when he's against the Hulk, for instance, you got to change that suit and get the Hulk Buster, right? That's much more powerful. I know I'm talking Marvel stuff. Yeah, you probably don't watch these Marvel movies or anything like that. But anyway, you need much more. You might need much greater firepower when it comes to dementia. And so those basic nutrients like omega 3s and and vitamin D don't work as well. There
yeah.
are
Good
other
point.
things that work.
Good point. Good point. Now, why doesn't, what is the hard part of dementia? I kind of want to, there's an answer that I'm trying to get out of you to see if you agree. Is it because a lot of times it's kind of like irreversible damage of the brain and just the slow irreversible damage? Or is there points of restoration that we haven't yet maybe uncovered? The in the brain, what makes dementia so hard?
That's a great question. That's a great question. By the way, just to point this out, human beings are the only ones that have Alzheimer's disease.
Mhm.
They can't reproduce it in rats. Yes, they can get amyloid plaques, and in mice, they can produce amyloid plaques in mice. But the what is Alzheimer's disease, Alzheimer's dementia, is a uniquely human condition. There's no other being that has it.
Mm,
So we don't know why that is so.
mm,
But in answer to your specific question, it's not just the damage. So it's a process. There's the attacks,
mhm,
maybe high blood sugar, for instance, or toxins.
mhm,
And there's the brain's attempts to compensate and repair
mm,
and recover from the attacks.
mhm,
Now, when we were younger, it's easier to repair that damage and continue.
mhm,
But as time goes on and as the attacks prevail, and
mhm,
as you get older, your reparative mechanisms don't work as well. So the brain tries to compensate, it
mm,
tries to make up for the damage and all that. Eventually, what really happens in dementia is that there are complex changes in the brain, and the brain itself, there's a program in the brain that makes the brain itself shut itself down.
mm.
And so the brain is actually the one going into hibernation is probably not the best word, but it just, you get the picture. It is
Yeah,
shutting itself down
yeah.
over a period of time. So that's why just using drugs and attacking a certain aspect like acetylcholine or using drugs to try and remove the amyloid plaques,
Mhm.
that's just a tiny piece of the
It's a
puzzle.
puzzle.
It's not
Cascade
addressing.
effect. Mhm.
I'm sorry.
It's a cascade effect.
That's exactly what it is, a cascade effect. It's not addressing the program, the
Mhm,
shutdown program. So
mhm,
if you're going to succeed in addressing dementia, you've got to know how to reverse that code, so to speak. How to the code has been set. You want to now reverse that code so the brain stops shutting itself down, and
mhm.
that takes a lot more than just one drug.
Yeah, wow. Well, thank you. So, in that regard, and we'll get back to the PowerPoint, but it looks like people have a lot of questions. So, What about detoxing? Aluminum is the cause of Alzheimer's in some people. If detoxing the body, would that help?
It will certainly help, yes, but it's not the only thing,
Hmm.
because it's so your detox. So there's a toxin that's damage. That's an attack on the brain. If I use that crude thing, but remember, if you remove the attack, there's already damage and loss of neurons and loss of cells.
Hmm.
Just so simply removing the attack
Hmm.
does not automatically restore health and vitality to the remaining brain cells. You've
Hmm.
got to address that as well.
And even though, yes, when she's referring to this, she's referring to environmental toxins that are coming to the body, but also, like I referred before, if you have things like I think you said it, uncontrolled diabetes or uncontrolled high blood pressure, that also impacts the brain, and
Absolutely.
it actually is a risk factor for dementia, at least Alzheimer's, if not dementia. Vascular dementia is as a result of cardiovascular issues. So it
Yes.
is keeping optimal health. Yes, getting rid of known environmental toxins that are you're exposed to, trying to reduce them. A lot of them we get from what? Food and air and
Yes.
some water. So
Water. Yeah.
being conscious about what you inhale, what you drink, what you eat, that has a lot to do with that. Am I going in this direction of risk factors for dementia?
Yeah. Yeah. So those are all things you want to do. Like you put it very well. Those are all preventative measures. Being aware of all these different things, what you eat, what you're exposed to.
Hmm.
But once dementia sets in,
Hmm.
you've got to address that, but you've also got to address other things like
Yeah.
helping to restore health and vitality,
Mhm.
and nourishment to the brain.
Because the key point that you're saying is once it sets in, there's a period of irreversibility that the damage has already been done. Is that what is that, I mean, can we say that? Can we say that some of that damage has already been done once it's already set in? Or it's
I
kind
never use the word. I never use the word irreversibility, because in my experience, I've seen that nothing is irreversible.
of okay, okay, okay,
Um,
okay.
but,
That's good.
but the point is it's not just that the damage has been done. I want to really touch on that some more.
Okay.
It's not just the damage has been done. It's that the brain is now shutting itself down.
Mm, mm, mm,
Like I said before, there are the attacks, maybe high blood sugar, toxins like mercury and aluminum,
mhm,
affecting the brain. The brain trying to compensate, but it's causing damage. It gets to a certain point when the brain is no longer able to compensate for that damage, and
mm,
it's left with only one final um, option, which is to shut itself down,
mm,
so that it's not using as much energy as it was before, so that somehow it's the whole thing is trying to do is survive,
mhm,
and to minimize its use of energy. So that's why it's shutting itself. That's why the higher functions go first.
mm,
Again, cognitive function, memory, those are all higher functions. Judgment and all those are things that first are the first to go before things like
mm,
movement, breathing, and eating eventually go and are lost. Is the higher functions first, and so it's basically shutting itself down
mhm,
in a bid to conserve itself, to save itself from
mm,
death. So that's what really was happening. So again, it's the brain that is the problem. It's
mhm,
shutting itself down.
mhm.
We,
So
we've
then,
passed the stage of attacks. We've passed the stage of damage.
mhm.
We're now in the stage of the brain being the problem.
So if the brain shuts itself down, then that over time will affect the organs, correct?
Not directly, unless it's. I mean, if the person is still alive when it affects the brain stem, which controls the breathing and
Yeah.
the vascular system, yes, then it will affect all the organs. But for the most part, or maybe the person is not eating,
Eating, yes, yes,
or drinking, then it will affect the organs
yeah.
indirectly. But you don't really see. No, you don't. It's not. It doesn't affect the organs at the earlier stages.
Yeah, so to your point, what you said, where I see severe dementia is the eating portion of it, where
Okay.
they cannot control their swallowing and their swallowing function, and now they're swallowing into the lungs, causing aspiration pneumonia. And
Yeah.
then from aspiration pneumonia, they now develop what we call sepsis. The infection that started in the lungs are now going into the blood system. And once it goes into the blood system, then you start seeing other organs start to be affected by the infection. So, like you said, indirectly, directly, we don't see like always a direct correlation, but indirectly, especially when the controlling of certain functions like swallowing and stuff, I think that's when the cascade, that's when it tips over and goes into the severe form that I see in the hospital. I don't know. Yeah.
Right.
So,
Right.
is there a form of protection for the brain? Is that a form of protection for the brain? That's what you had already said, and so I just wanted to say that that's what he had said. Sounds like that's what I'm hearing you say. That this is the way dementia, the body's reacting as a protection mechanism. So yeah,
The brain is
the
initiating
brain.
the protection
Excuse me.
mechanism.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So growing our own food as much as possible. If you can, that's great. I always say if you know what your ingredients are in your food and in what you drink, the better. So if you can make it homemade because you know your own ingredients, that's better for you because a lot of ingredients that are in food today, as you guys always see, there's always a recall left and right. Studies have shown that this particular ingredient that they use as an additive is now carcinogenic or has a high potential of being carcinogenic. And so being as organic or simple based in terms of food and diet is very good. What do you think, Ajibadi? Dr. Ajibadi?
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely. The more natural you can you can be, the better. I mean, we I look at kids today, and it's like they don't stand a chance
Mm,
against the marketing messages that they're being bombarded with all the sugar and all the salt processed
yeah,
things. They don't stand a
it's
chance unless somebody can take them in from the rain and say, "Hey, just eat this and this." But they're just they're entraining them from their childhood to
yeah,
all these processed foods, and unfortunately, it's they're targeting black kids and black adults more than anybody else because they know we like sweet stuff, and that's the truth. We like sweet stuff.
but everybody likes sweet stuff. But why don't they make the sweet stuff more expensive and the healthy stuff more cheaper? Hello. I'm just saying. It's true. I'm saying that would help a lot. So getting back to our presentation, another questions that we have is, let me get this here. Okay, improvements that can help slow down. We kind of talked about dietary, so that's fine. I appreciate this discussion. My 64-year-old sister is going through this. We just processed her retirement due to the memory loss and getting lost. She couldn't continue in her job. It seems like the decline is progressing so rapidly. It's heartbreaking. I'm worried about her living alone. I know she shouldn't be. I need to know where to begin to find resources in preparation for a facility. Where do I start?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't since I don't know much about facilities and all that. Mostly you
But
probably
your organization does. The Alzheimer's Association does. And I,
what
huh?
that's true. Why don't we just give them the phone number and
Yes,
the website address? So
yes, I was just about to. So let me see if I can share my screen. So and let me know because let me get off of this. In preparation of our talk, I decided to call the 1-800 number for the organization, Alzheimer's organization. And I was met. Can you still hear me?
yes.
Okay. And I was met with such a wonderful, wonderful lady that was on the phone. And so the Alzheimer's Association has a help and support for not only just Alzheimer's disease, but for dementia. So any dementia, whether it's vascular dementia, whether it's Lewy bodies dementia, and they have it on their website. Their website is alz.org. You see it here, if you can see it, alz.org. And their helpline, I don't know if you see it on the upper right-hand side, it's 1-800-272-3980. This is their website. And I scrolled all the way down. It gives you so much insight, the care options that you can have, the stages and behaviors, caregiver health. So they talk about what are the best things you can do for the person you're caring for and to stay physically and emotionally strong. They have articles on that. Daily care, know what to expect, and especially for the different stages of dementia, programs and support, living well, plans for your future. I mean, so many articles. And then even you can find your local chapters within the actual Alzheimer's organization. And remember, this is not just for Alzheimer's dementia. It is for all types of dementia. They have support groups, they have chapters. So it's a 1-800 helpline. And when I did, like I said, they were so helpful. They said that if you have any need, be it, and I wrote some notes down as I was talking to her, be it any for referrals for home agencies, for respite. And respite, what that means is if you are taking care of someone and you're just emotionally and physically drained, the government actually has some grants out there that you can apply to allow your loved one to be cared for on a temporary basis, to allow you to get, to get some R&R, rest and relaxation, essentially. So they'll help you in getting these grants. They can refer you to agencies just like social workers to help with your needs. And also they have several support groups, like I said. And then the lady also told me about another organization, which is called the Area Agencies on Aging, the AAA. And this is a program that provides services to help people age 60 and older, and their family members and caregivers receive the information and assistance they need in locating and assessing community services within your area. So you can call their 1-800 number, which is 1-800-252-9240. Also, there, like I said, or you can Google Area Agency on Aging. Here you see they have information, referrals and assistance, benefits on counseling and legal assistance, care coordination, caregiver support lines or services, in-home support services, legal awareness, nutrition services. I mean, just a number of things. And they have so many stuff on their websites that you can just peruse. They just happen to talk about Texas because I'm in Texas, but they have the areas in your local area as well. And if this is not within your local area, the Alzheimer's helpline will tell you of services and people you can contact for whatever need, or they can be there for support. Remember, it's 24/7. So they're very helpful there. So let's see. Excellent website. Yes. Yeah. Okay. So that's great. Like you said, Lasonia, sorry, excuse me. If you choose facilities, please become involved in your loved one's care. Call often, visit often, ask questions often. We have in-home health, adult daycares in early stages, and that's quite important. They want some familiarity. My patients, any of them that have dementia, when their family members are not there and they're in the hospital by themselves, they tend to be a little bit more erratic compared to when they are actually with their family members. You just see it night and day. So oftentimes when they're a little more irritated or erratic, sometimes we actually call the family to see if they are available for us to be able to, for them to be able to come by and see their family members. So it's really good. Respite is good. Respite is good. So anyways, Dr. Ajibadi, are you still there?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So we're going to kind of just kind of finish up with some of these questions. I mean, this has been a very, very, very uh, good conversation. Maybe we have time for, I don't know, one or two more. Um, let's see. It's been very expensive to get outside help. My life has come to a stop caring for my mother. I'm no longer her daughter and only her caregiver in her eyes. It's very depressing for a caregiver. There truly isn't enough support out there for caregivers. My mom suffers from vascular dementia, Lewy body disease. This is the reason why I wanted to reach out to these or associations. They do provide care, and they provide 24/7 hotlines. So if it's becomes very stressful for you, they'll be there for your emotional support, and they can even help you formulate a plan. And when they were talking about, I told the lady on the phone that there are people who can't afford it. Is there a way to help them? She's like, sure, there's grants out there. If you're a veteran, you can have VA benefits that can help you. She says, we can work around and see what options there are for the family, for the patient themselves. She didn't say patient. I'm just saying patient. I'm sorry. I'm used to that. For the person themselves. So the person can call the 24/7 hotline. If you have early stage dementia, you can call the 24/7 hotline, seek assistance, or if you are a caregiver, you can do that as well. Let's see. And this is what, just to be real quick about this, Keon Williams had mentioned the Alzheimer's Foundation.org, which is an excellent resource with support groups for caregivers, recommendations on memory tests, screening. They definitely have that. And that was what I was going to show. In fact, we're just out of time, but the lady did give me a brochure that had 10 signs that your relative may have dementia. And it's kind of like a workbook form, and they give it out to you when you call them initially to just kind of see and help you, guide you to see whether or not your loved one or yourself may be suffering from that. Okay, so Dr. Hajibadi, have they come out with a vaccine for this illness?
No, not at all. Unfortunately, we're still dealing with the treatment aspects because it's such a complex disease. By the way,
Yeah.
that it's not easy to just identify one thing or the other.
Okay.
No. By the way, great work talking about the Alzheimer's Association. I mean, that just skipped my mind. It's a really good organization. But I think just to let people know, just in case people are listening in and they're not able to read the screen, it's the number. I think you missed one number. It was is 1-800-272-3900. I think you said 3980. So it's 3900.
Okay, I am so sorry. Let me write that in the chat. Can I write that in the chat and show my? Did somebody say it's 1-800-252-9240?
No, 272 1-800-272-3900.
Okay, let's make sure we are. Oh yeah. Thank you. I don't know what I said, but thank you about that. I think they were referring to the AAA, the Areas Agency on Aging. This is their number. I think LaSonia gave us that. The Areas Agency on Aging, that's their number. And then for Alzheimer's dementia, let me just put that in the chat here. The Alzheimer's Association, I'm just going to write that right here so that if anybody has. Okay. Thank you. Someone is writing that. Thank you so much. And I'll pin that. Thank you so much.
Sure.
So that is the number, the 800-272-3900, important 24/7 hotline. So the answer is no. One more question and then we're done. This has been a great conversation. I really, really like it. Let's go back to the slide real quick. One more. And I think the question, okay, actually, let me get us out. Let me get this out first. let's get us out of there. The question, so it's really, during the last week, there were a lot of comments, and some of them I just wanted to share. There are some people who are dealing with Alzheimer's from a caregiver standpoint, and they had put in the comment section. There's Dr. Gina, who actually wrote a book about a caregiver's journey and journal, which you can see on Amazon. That's the title. Uh, Zinab, she is actually a home care director in Massachusetts and Connecticut, and she was free enough to write about, where she works in case you were in the area. And Arnett had actually posted that she was a caregiver for her dad and aunt, who both had dementia, and it was the hardest thing that she ever had to do. She actually has done an episode on her talk show about being a caregiver, and she listed it there in the comment section. So, a lot of you have experience on this. I mean, it's definitely a trying season when you have to deal with someone with dementia, but it's doable, and there's support systems out there. Also, there's meetups. If you go to meetup.com, I just did a quick search on Alzheimer's dementia, actually on dementia, and I saw that there were some groups, the support groups for dementia patients, or people actually that can be involved in being together and supporting one another as they themselves or their family members are going through the disease. So I think I'll end it with that. But before I do, I have one more slide to say. And somebody had said, I think there's a request to activate Spanish subtitle. Is it possible to activate? I do not know when it comes to this live, but I will look into that. And I did see some Spanish or some Espanol on the comment section. I'm sorry I couldn't respond or post because I couldn't translate it. But I will see if there's a Spanish subtitles moving forward. All right. Well, Dr. Ajibade, thank you so very much for coming on and shedding light on dementia and Alzheimer's in particular. Is there any last topic or things you want to talk about or say before we end this live?
Yeah. So, we probably didn't discuss this, but I'm going to start a YouTube channel specifically entitled Blacks and Dementia.
Okay.
We're just going to dive into all these issues that are specific to Blacks.
Okay.
And like I mentioned, all the different things that make us more prone to having this, and then what, more importantly, what needs to be done, especially from an earlier age. I mean, it's never too late, like I've always said, but I think for the long term, it's important we need to start knowing how to take care of our brain health right from when in our 20s and 30s, rather than waiting until we get. So yeah, so if you do want to find out about it, can I give my website?
Yes.
Okay, so it is drajibade.com. You should be able to get there and maybe contact me from there, and then drajibade.com, and then the YouTube channel is Dr. David Ajibade, AJIBADE, Dr. David Ajibade @gmail.com. That's the YouTube channel. So we're going to really do a deep dive into these topics, because I just feel that I'm not seeing any Black doctor really going out and talking about these things, and I feel that there needs to be.
Yes, no, for sure. So if they go to drajibade.com, could they be able to be linked to the YouTube channel?
We are, yeah. You know what? Let me check. My stuff is supposed to do the thing, and then just check that real quick.
Because you're saying Dr. David Ajibade.
Like David Ajibade is a YouTube. That's a YouTube channel. That's a YouTube channel we currently have.
Okay, so if they type Dr. David Ajibade on YouTube, they get it.
Yes, if you type Dr. David Ajibade on YouTube, you should get it. Okay. And then if you subscribe there, then we'll let you know when we'll reach out and let you know when we're going to start doing the specific Blacks and dementia.
Okay. series or a YouTube channel. Yeah, okay, great. That's great. We need more awareness. So prevention, first of all, is key. But if you do have it, how do you navigate it? That's also important too. So you being able to shine a light and giving the perspective and resources and stories that they can align with. I think that's awesome. That's going to be great. So let us know if you want, we can do another session on this once it's launched and we can show it in its entirety.
Nice. Very nice.
Okay. All right. Thank you. So can you post the information in the chat area? I think we did. It's drajabadi.com, DRA, and please let me know if I spelled it wrong,
No, you did.
drajabadi.com. And then if you want to actually see Dr. Ajibadi on YouTube, just Google his name, Dr. David Ajibadi, and it should pop up, correct?
Yes.
It should pop up. Okay, so that's his name, right? That's his name. And if you Google that on YouTube, if you put it in the YouTube search, you should see that. So, all right, again, thank you, Dr. Ajibadi, for coming on. I thank you guys for listening to this engaging conversation and hope we were able to answer. Gosh, you do. I just want to make sure.
Yes, I do.
Okay, that's the answer. Hope you guys were able to get some insights. And if you have any questions, definitely jot it down. And until next time, y'all, have an awesome weekend. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.